Welcome into the Cowboys Report. I am Tom Downey, producer Aiden, behind the scenes once again for today's live show. It is a Victory Monday for the Dallas Cowboys, fresh off of the old double up over the Washington Commanders. I want you guys to grade the Cowboys against the Commanders in this one. A, B, C, D, or F. Let me know in the comments section of today's show how you think it went. A, B, C, D, or F. Let me know in the comments. I see A's from Dak MVP season. C- from AKA Cam. I get the Commanders were banged up. I get that they were down their top receivers. You won 44-22. I kind of can't get on board with anything lower than a B. Like, even if you have long-term doubts about the defense, that's fine too. But they won by 22 points. Like, that's really hard to do in the NFL, actually. Doesn't happen very often. Like, the Rams did it. The Browns came close to it. Such did it. Like, there's not a lot of blowouts in the NFL each week. There actually kind of were this week, now I think about it. Like, the Chiefs did it. But that was a 500 team. You beat the crap out of. So, A, B, C, D, or F. Northwest Sasquatch says D+. Feels like that's a closet Commanders fan, maybe. A, B+, A, B-, A, B+, A. See, Embed is B+. I can't overlook the prior games. I actually just would completely ignore the prior games. It was just this one. Just this one. And if we are doing prior games, I think B+ is too high, actually. So, get those votes in A, B, C, D, or F. This is the Super Chat menu on today's show. Any Super Chat is a shout-out. $5. You are into our to-be-determined raffle for this week. $10 is 3 raffle entries. $50 is a shot. $100 is the beer bong. Already have a $5 Super Chat from Samuel. He says, so glad I chose that game for my Father's Day gift. Hope the D can keep that up. You picked probably one of the better ones of the year. Rivalry, big-time win, at home, points galore. I like that one. Samuel. $5, thank you very much on that one. All right, should Dak Prescott be an MVP favorite? Not the, but an MVP favorite. Y for yes, N for no. We'll discuss this on today's video. He is not among the favorites right now based on the betting odds. There's rationale and reason behind that. I think it's dumb. Like, I low-key hate what the NFL MVP award has been. It's become, are you a quarterback? Yes or no? Yes, you're eligible. No, you're out. Which, there should be other players who at least are eligible. It feels like there's no chance it's going to happen. B, is your team a playoff team? Yes, you're eligible. B, if no, you're out. Did you exceed expectations? Yes, you're in. No, you're out. Like, you have to be a playoff team that was better than what people thought. Like, Burrow last year was carrying and, like, wasn't really an MVP candidate, which feels kind of dumb. Like, it just kind of goes to, like, the best quarterback on a top 4 team. And it's not really what it's supposed to be. At least that's not what I think it should be. Y for yes, N for no. AK says negative Y. What does that mean? Yes, from AK. No, yeah, what does negative Y mean? You're confusing me. I'm not smart enough for this. Let's see. Troy says yes. Samuel says yes. Jason Wheels Phillips. Best Deal says, I would say yes if he doesn't shit the bed in the playoffs. Well, doesn't apply to the playoffs, so doesn't really mean anything there. William Cook, a $10 Super Chat. Thank you very much, William. Appreciate that. Entries going in for this week's raffle. I see a glimmer of hope from the defense. Keep making more changes. Maybe Shoddy being more involved helped out. I do think that was the case. Kind of feel like it was, hey, you're going to do some man and you're going to blitz. Like, we can't just sit back in soft zone coverages, not let our playmaking corners go make plays. Although the pick six, I think, did come on a zone coverage look, but it was 3rd and long and let him be a playmaker still. I do think it helped. Well, I'll dive into the numbers for Bo Nix, man versus zone. There probably will be games where other quarterbacks are bad against zone. Maybe you try some more zone there. But you have to be able to do both. You can't just sit back there and cover 2, cover 3, cover 4 all game long and go, it's fine. Oh, why for now, a.k.a. Cam says. That is the correct answer. Yeah. It could change. Slowly change. Daniel, $2. Tom, finally, Eberflus played some man and blitz. We will get into those as well. We'll get into the numbers on that front. They definitely brought more pressure. They definitely played more man. Most of their blitz rates had been around 20%, if that, over the course of the NFL season. That's five-man pressures included. They definitely did more of that in this one. Certified Chide, $2 super chat, says, I was pleasantly surprised by Bridges and James. James, yes. Bridges, kinda. I think it may have been a different conversation if when they picked on him, it was moderately successful. There were some misplays, missed throws in the direction of Bridges. I thought could have been a bigger issue. But like for a backup coming in, I thought he did as good as you could have hoped. So maybe from that perspective, yes. Yeah, I thought Elam was better today too. Overall, I thought your coverage stuff was pretty good. Outside of a couple big plays allowed, Marquise Bell allowed the big chunk one, and then I did go back and watch. By the way, the Shamar James, Kenneth Murray miscommunication. It looks like they were actually in zone to me. So I actually don't know if they were in man or zone because Kenneth Murray carries him across the formation, but then drops off, and Shamar James is right there. And I don't know if they were doing, essentially cover one with a spy in Shamar James, and Murray's supposed to shadow him, or if they're doing, like a lot of teams do in the red zone, kind of a match zone look, where you're in match coverage until another guy kind of crosses in, and you pass it off to Shamar James there. So I do wonder if that was actually more of a match zone look, but I have no way of knowing for certain on that front. So... And closest man in coverage ends up being Shamar James, so he might get dinged with it from some of the advanced numbers there. Trades. Will the Cowboys make a trade before this year's NFL trade deadline? 1 for yes, 0 for no. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. 1 for yes, 0 for no. Producer Aiden wants to bring himself on here and has something to say. What's up?
Could I interest you in Alontae Taylor?
Kind of.
I thought he's like a good slot corner. Might fit that kind of like scheme that you're looking for. Someone more. I know Bland will normally play in that nickel.
Kick him back to the outside though.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm not necessarily opposed to it. I do wonder if just the return of guys like Kalen Carson, maybe they aren't as interested. He also thought Taylor kind of sucked last year.
Yeah.
So I think he's been better this year.
Yes.
But
I'm on the Quincy Riley train. I need him to
well,
be
he's
outside.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I don't know. I'm not opposed to it, but I think it'd have to be, we're talking day 3 pick at best. And I would almost, I could do both. But I would have interest in just like finding an edge, finding a safety, maybe a linebacker before I go down that path. I can do both, though. Shouldn't have to pick and choose there. But that's maybe more of an offseason adjustment anyway. So, will the Cowboys make a trade? Why? 1 for yes, 0 for no. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. You are not getting Sauce Gardner. They just paid him. No chance. Now, if you want us to start today's show it by liking today's video. Free, simple, and easy to do. Like the video if you haven't already, and celebrate Victory Monday in the process for the Dallas Cowboys. Coming up on today's show, plenty of good news to discuss coming out of the Cowboys' win over the Commies. We will talk trade rumors, a variety of those, and where notable players sit on the trade block. A mailbag, use hashtag Cowboys or Super Chat to skip the line altogether. We'll get to Max Finnegan's Super Chat after this upcoming segment. And we'll break down I have seen a lot of trade ideas that are, what if we gave this day 3 pick and this player I don't want anymore for your good player? So we're going to actually assign proper trade values to some of the players you've been trying to trade. So we'll break that all down here on today's live Cowboys Report. Fresh off a win over the Commanders, the Cowboys got plenty of good news. Several kind of expanded takeaways, updates we'll discuss on today's video. A lot of them all coming up positive. Of notes, I think the last 2 times I did this, we actually did get a push. I think I figured out the timing I am 99% certain there will be no YouTube push notification on today's show. So help us out. Share today's video. Make sure all your friends see it. We'll be playing catch up on that side. Free, simple. Appreciate everyone who does it. Let's begin with Dak Prescott. He continues to look like one of the best quarterbacks in the entire NFL right now. Continues to play and operate and distribute the ball at a high level, and the numbers certainly continue to bear that out. He has 16 touchdowns so far this season, 3 interceptions. The passing yards are second in the NFL. He has been pretty clearly one of the best quarterbacks in football, and he's gotten hot over the last couple of games. And by the way, the only quarterback with more touchdowns right now is Matthew Stafford through the air. His first down rate's at 35%. He's got a bunch of explosive plays, 91 first downs, second behind only Matthew Stafford, completing all that completion rate. It's incredible. Dak has thrown 3 touchdowns without a pick in 4 straight games. The only quarterbacks to do that since this are Russell Wilson, Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, Peyton Manning, and Tom Brady. This little run he is on right now is matched only by Hall of Fame QBs. It's probably a good spot to be in. CeeDee Lamb had this to say on Dak Prescott. All the criticism that was going on, you don't hear too much going on now. Now they're just waiting on something. That's how it is. For him, I know it's tough. Being the quarterback for this franchise is a big burden. But there's a lot of people quiet right now, so I guess it's pretty good. I do think Lamb is spot on. I think more often than not, there's just unfair criticism, even from this own fan base at times, who just refuse to acknowledge, even though there are bad games, the overall picture is very good. I actually don't think he played well last year. He has certainly played well so far this season. Despite his elite play, he's only tied for 10th in the NFL MVP odds right now, plus 3,300. A big factor in that, wins and losses matter. Why is Jordan Love above Dak Prescott in the NFL MVP race? Like, come on. Outside of his team is better. That's the only reason. Doesn't make any sense. That's the only justifiable reason for it. And I kind of hate what the NFL MVP has become. So should Dak Prescott, should he be an MVP favorite? Y for yes, N for no. Let me know in the comment section of today's show. Should Dak Prescott be an NFL MVP favorite? More good news. DeMarvion Overshown tweeted out this Monday morning, T-minus 21. First assumption was practice window opening, but they weren't going to open it on Monday, and they're not going to. They're going to open it up on Wednesday. Nick Harris was the first one to report it officially. He quote tweeted the Overshown tweet. His 21-day practice window will be opened up on Wednesday. What this means is, starting Wednesday, 21 days for the Cowboys to have DeMarvion Overshown practice without counting against the 53-man roster. At the end of that 21-day window, he must be activated, like the Cowboys had to do with Mingo this Wednesday, or he sits on IR for the remainder of the season. So barring a setback, I think the Cowboys will use up that entire window, and that window will set him up perfectly for the Cowboys' return game against the Las Vegas Raiders after their bye on Monday Night Football. Everyone spam 0 for DeMarvion Overshown. The return is coming. Get your zeros for me in the comment section of today's show. Let's check in on the injury for Kenny Clark. This was a concern in-game, but then he came back, and that's a very promising sign. Seems like he did indeed dodge a bullet. He left the game, and then did return. Came back out there. He said post-game he's going to be okay. The raw box score shows no impact for Kenny Clark, but for PFF, he actually led the team with 5 pressures. There were several different plays which he was getting pressure, forced the quarterback into some other direction, or a throw, or an errant pass. Think he was one of the guys that got pressures on the DaRon Bland pick 6 too. I think it was a much better game out of Kenny Clark, and after, I think, kind of a couple rough games in a row, and you saw that with better run defense and better pressures up front as the Cowboys also blitzed more, which we'll discuss here in just a second. But today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this football season on Prize Picks, where it is good to be right. It is simple to play. You pick more or less on at least 2 player stats. You get those picks right, you could cash in. It's at least 2. So if you wanted to, You could do 2 separate Prize Picks lineups for Monday Night Football, less than Stroud passing yards, more than Darnold TDs, or want to get a little bit more aggressive, you could do all 4 of them in the power play, or do a flex play and still get one wrong and cash out. Monty, rushing yards. Mike Evans, more than receiving yards. Prize Picks is the only app that offers stacks, meaning pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. You want to pick more than on, say Josh Allen next week, passing yards, rush yards, touchdowns. You can do it. Go download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. More good news. Cowboys made 2 major changes on defense, and they worked. Turns out, when you listen to us and we all go, hey, you should probably do more man coverage, it ends up working. We were all right, and it took me, Matt Eberflus, 6 weeks to figure it out. But the Cowboys did more blitzing and more man coverage, and it worked. They blitzed 37.5% of the time in Week 7. The previous high was 28.6%. Of note, the median and the average was a little bit closer to 20. So it was significantly more blitzes, often coming at more high leverage times. They also played a lot more man coverage. Their man coverage rate, which was the bottom, the least near it in the NFL, jumped up to nearly 50%. And it was even a little bit higher. It was above 50% until the fourth quarter, and they went a bit more conservative there. This is all per True Media, by the way. 47.5% man coverage rate, and it was a lot better. 162 yards versus 57 yards allowed. They got 3 sacks in man coverage compared to 1 against zone. No touchdowns allowed. The pick 6 was in zone coverage. Their cover 1 rate, particularly, went from 4.6% in weeks 1 to 6 to 38% in week 7. So this is why when we do our changes video, I'm like, I'm gonna moneyball this into more man coverage, and I said to bring blitzes. You're going to bring 4. If you're going to bring 5 or 6 guys, you're going to have to play more man on the back end. And it worked. Go figure. Jadeveony Clowney is next up here. I think he had his best game of his stint so far in Dallas against the Commanders. I think the numbers very much bear that out. In 26 snaps, by the way, against the Washington Commanders, he had 5 tackles, 1 sack, got his hands up twice to break up passes. It's not a TFL, it's not a sack, but no gain. It's an impact play. Had a fumble recovery, and a 25% pressure rate. Here's what Clowney said after the game. I was telling Coach, I had to go through a little camp when I first got here. Coming off that couch is a little bit different. I feel much better now than I did 2 weeks ago. Just practicing, I feel better. I think I got my feet up under me, and I'm ready to rock, and he let me rock out. Best game so far from Clowney. A little bit slow the first 2 games. Got his snap counts up a little bit as well. I think if we're being honest about the way this defensive end room looks right this second, your guys who should be playing the most, especially on early downs, because they don't love James Houston there, so it's fine. I think that's Clowney and Ezaraku, and then you can rotate in Fowler and James Houston as some additional pass rush help. You guys know who I left out on that one, who's healthy. And if you want more free Cowboys YouTube videos, hit that sub button, youtube.com/Cowboys TV. Free Cowboys videos each and every single day right here on the channel. Let's go to George Pickens, who I want to pay after the year ends because that's how it's probably going to work out. He has racked up an NFL high, per Marcus Mosher, 116 yards on defensive pass interference penalties this year. I had made the comment in the game, he's got to lead the league in DPI calls, and he does. He's got about 10 yards more than Marvin Harrison. There's a pretty big drop-off after that. So Marcus put together, he said, a made-up stat, which all stats are made up, by the way. True yardage, so receiving yards and DPI yards tacked on. George Pickens, 728. That will almost assuredly change tonight when Jackson Smith-Njigba plays for Seattle, but it also helps indicate how impactful George Pickens has been this year, beyond the fact that he's got all these receiving yards and is having a big-time season and has been impactful and looks like one of the best players in the entire NFL, at least among receivers. He and CeeDee Lamb have really been everything I think that we were hoping for from the Dallas Cowboys. That's why I think the whole, like, maybe you don't pay him stuff is frankly stupid as it comes to George Pickens. Like, the Cowboys have gotten everything they could have hoped for, they could have wanted, they were desiring out of George Pickens on the field and off the field. This is a bit of a champagne problem of, oh no, now he's super expensive. Oh no, my steak is too tender now. Like, so what? I have all of the cap space I could want this upcoming offseason. Like, just make it with a dynamic wide receiver twosome with Lamb and Pickens and Dak Prescott, and then use rest of your assets on defense. Like, it's kind of a no-brainer. You re-sign him after this year ends. Do you agree? Would you re-sign George Pickens? A for yes, B for no. Let me know in the comment section of today's show. One more note on our resident alien, Brandon Aubrey. Next time, we should replace the Cowboys logo with an alien emoji in the background. Thinking ahead there. Brandon Aubrey already has the most 60-plus yard field goals in NFL history. And he's 3 years into it. He'll probably get... I'm a little mad at the Cowboys, frankly, because there was that one drive in the fourth quarter where they kind of got the ball near midfield. I think they had a penalty to back him up, and they could have brought him out for like a 67-yard try, and they just didn't do it. Like, I want to see him do that. Like, they were sitting with the ball at the Commanders' 49-yard line. I think it would be cool if they will let him try the 66-yarder, or just like, line it up a yard further and go for the 67. Like, I want to see him. I think he can make it from 70 with the way that the K-balls have changed. I want to see him do it. $5 super chat from Max Finnegan. Hey, Tom, time to sign Pickens now. Also, this cannot be forgotten. What the trade was dumb. Yes, I think is what it is, whatever. Freed up cap, whatever. Use it properly. It's fine. I don't think they're going to sign him right now. Just because, like, I don't think that the Pickens camp is going to really want to do that. Like, he's going to get tagged at minimum and lock in $28 million per year and then push beyond 30 per year at minimum. So, like, I think it is, like, a bit of a it takes two side. And I am okay letting it play out. Just get it done before free agency. Early, whatever, on time is before free agency. Ecuador man, Tom, I got to ask, how is Marshall after that choke? I messaged him this morning because I wanted to give him some time to recover. I said, sorry the Giants ruined your birthday. He said, unreal. He said 2 times in almost 3,700 games, a team has blown a 19-point lead in the fourth quarter. And that was one of them. So, yeah, that one. And I think a certain size lead with less than 5 to go was also in play, and that had never been broken before. Yeah, that one sucked. I did feel a little bad for him, but also like F Marshy in the comments. So I think he was down bad. Mitch is also down bad right now with the Raiders, but I'll be honest, I did not see this coming for Las Vegas. Like, I thought Pete Carroll at minimum would have stabilized things, and it has not been the case. I'm pretty damn surprised by just how bad the Raiders look. So, and then our Dolphins guy Nick is also in shambles each week. CJ DeYoung III. If it's a no-brainer, the Joneses are sure to F it up. Okay, it's not wrong. Do it right for once, please. Wouldn't it be nice? Who you got on Monday Night Football? Doubleheader tonight. Also a 10:30 game, which is just, it's fun for the West Coast, but like, damn, man, for the East Coast, and even sometimes it's like, that's late. Like, I'm an old man now. That's late for me. So who you got? B for the Bucks, L for the Lions. I'm all in on the Lions tonight. All in on them. I think too many injuries. Bucks have won a lot of close games. Kind of time to even out. Are you going to talk your shit on but this is probably best for NFL Live, right? Do you want to save it for NFL tomorrow? You save it for NFL? Aiden was convinced, and I'll let you on a secret here. Was convinced Bengals were going to beat the Steelers. And I was a little mad because that was going to be my hot take prediction for that week. And I did bet on them to win, by the way. So that one was good. So B for the Bucks, L for the Lions. Let me know in the comment section of today's show, B or L. Decent split. I think we should cheer for the Bucs, actually. I think from like a playoff perspective, like you're probably like the Bucs are gonna run away with the NFC South. Like I don't really believe in Atlanta. Don't believe in New Orleans, obviously. I don't believe in Carolina. I think you want Tampa to kind of run away with that division to an extent. You don't want to have them be a backdoor wild card team where you might have to go make it happen. So B for the Bucs, L for the Lions. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. GH24. I bet you they'll try the 70-yarder on the last game of the year. He needs to try at least once this season. Or like end of half. If they get in the right end of half scenario, I would not be surprised if they did it. Like that 61-yarder, that had more than enough distance. Like these kickers, they've juiced the balls, and Aubrey was already super long in terms of his distance, and now it's I don't know what his limit is, but I do kind of want to find out on that front. So this is a reminder of the Super Chat menu. Anytime you guys Super Chat, we'll give you some love and a shout out. If you do $5, we'll give you a raffle entry into Sunday's raffle. 10 is 3, give you extra bonuses there. $50 for a shoddy, and $100 is the beer bong. That is the Super Chat menu on today's show. As promised, we are talking trades on today's Cowboys Report. Dallas is sitting at 3-1, a unique way to get to 500. They are still alive in the NFC South or NFC, and they have a defense that pretty clearly could still use more. Even though it was better in Week 7, 22 points, 2 is the fault of the offense. That's still like average-ish. Do you want the Cowboys to go make a trade and try to make a bit of a run in a pretty open NFC? 1 for yes, 0 for no. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. I am very much open to making a trade, both in real life and in fantasy, and my username on some platforms is DME Trades. But it has to be the right trade. If you're making a move in your Dallas, it needs to make sense short-term and long-term. I am not interested in making a trade for the sake of making a trade. Asset-wise, draft picks are what you will most likely be shopping. You got 2 first-round picks, a second-round pick, a fourth, a couple of 5s. Of note, both of those fifth-round comp picks are projected. Those are not yet set in stone, so there does become the possibility of something changing on that front, and the Cowboys don't get a fifth-round comp pick, or they get an extra 7th-round comp pick. For now, again, the 7ths are all kind of asterisks here. One of these 7th-rounders is going to go to the Bills as part of the Kyer Elam trade, and then 2 of your own, the Chiefs, and the Giants are going to stay with you. So you have extra assets here in this year's draft, most notably your 2 firsts and a 2nd rounder. And I would be open to trading, one of my 2 first-round picks or a 2nd-round pick, because I can't draft there, if it is for an elite long-term talent. I would love Max Crosby. I don't think he's available, though, guys. And I don't know if there are those true elite long-term talents. Those guys don't normally get traded. Maybe it's once a year, and you were kind of the one who traded away that talent already. And I'll gladly trade my day 3 picks for help, but am I getting enough help on that front? I don't need to trade for a edge rusher. I need to get a good edge rusher. So those are the questions that I face right now. I think that's also why you had Jerry Jones saying nothing is really piquing his interest yet. It's just not quite there in terms of the trade offers. The answer to both of those questions, the premium assets and the lesser assets, will get answers over the course of the next 2 weeks. We will eventually find out what exactly the trade market looks like, and you have time. You don't have to rush into it. You can be patient and see how things play out against Denver, when I wouldn't be shocked if you get some more haves and have-nots and things continue to develop on that front. Name a player who you want to trade for. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Keep it realistic. We will mention some of the bigger names that have been floated out there in media, but drop that player name for me in the comments of today's show. I'm sure we will get Trey Hendrickson ideas. We already had our first Jerry Jones wants to make a splash article. That was Charles Robinson, who doesn't normally do that one, but he did it this time. Tony Pauline also was claiming that the Cowboys were interested in Trey Hendrickson. Pauline had already said once that the Bengals were going to trade him pre-draft. He swore that was going to happen. Didn't happen. He had the Niners, Colts, Eagles, and Cowboys as his 4 teams. Unfortunately, Tony Pauline is not exactly credible. This is the same guy who said the Cowboys were a lock to take Matthew Golden over Teteroa McMillan, and that they had their eyes on Damian Martinez on day 2. So, I'm not really the greatest as it relates to the Cowboys. Diana Rossini, by the way, and Ian Rappaport, it doesn't sound likely right now. Says he's drawn attention around the league. The Niners are showing the most interest, but the Bengals aren't shopping him. And after the Bengals Thursday night win, most do not expect him to get moved. The Bengals play the Jets this week. So once they win that game, and if they lose, we'll revisit. But if they lose that game, all of a sudden they are firmly right back in the mix of the AFC North, of the AFC. And they're kind of like in the exact same bucket of the Cowboys of like, hey, we're alive, we're fighting for dear life, but like, we can go make that happen. Maybe we have a chance for it. What I'm saying is, I don't think we should get our hopes up for Trey Hendrickson. If the Bengals had lost against Pittsburgh and the bottom had fallen out before the trade deadline, maybe. Right now, I think they're playing the keep afloat until we get Joe Burrow back in December, which they might actually be able to do. Today's show is made possible by the Tushy Bidet. You got spreadsheets, we use some mock drafts for fantasy football, injury alerts, and yet we still wipe like it's the olden days before the internet was around. Tushy is the everyday luxury bidet that instantly transforms your bathroom habits and bottom health for life. 99% of people who wash with Tushy Wave feel cleaner and fresher after going to the bathroom. Every Tushy bidet easily attaches to your existing toilet without the need for additional plumbing. Installation is simple, and it takes about 10 minutes to complete, and everyone can do it. Gives you 2-in-1 benefits, reducing irritation, preventing micro tears with soothing water instead of scratchy, itchy toilet paper or damaging wet wipes. Remember, a-hole is only a dirty word if you wipe. For a limited time, you guys get 10% off your first order when you use code CHAT at checkout. That's CHAT. That's 10% off your first bidet order at hellotushy.com/chat with promo code CHAT. Links in the comments section and the description of today's show. Now, I think some available edges. How about the 2 Dolphins players, Bradley Chubb and Jaelen Phillips? I do believe there are at least a scenario in which one of those guys gets moved with how bad it has been in Miami, although they're not fired yet, which is kind of weird to me. Bradley Chubb has 4 sacks this year. His pressure rate's only 10.8%, but he's been paid already. Talk about the contract stuff here in a little bit. 2025 stats for Jaelen Phillips. He only has 2 sacks, but his pressure rate is even higher. I think both those guys could come in and help you as a pass rusher. It's the contractual stuff that I think is a factor here as well. Bradley Chubb doesn't have to cost too much right now. He's very cheap for the Cowboys this year. Dolphins don't save a lot because they just paid him this offseason, which is part of their whole issue as a franchise. Cowboys would owe a pretty big chunk of change in 2026, 2027. So again, what's the cost? Because I'm not really trying to trade. I have no third. I'm not trading a 2 for Bradley Chubb. Can you get him for less than that and potentially make him a rental? Jaelen Phillips has been banged up a lot over the course of his career, would also be a potential rental and a bit more expensive in this year, I should say. The prorated figure is what you owe for the remainder of the season for all these guys we're discussing. So it's like half, call it, it's not really half, but just call it for easy math. So, do you want to pay him $7-ish million over the rest of the season? You have the money. Do you want to? Do you want to go get a pass rusher? Y for yes, N for no. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Y for yes, N for no. This name intrigues me, and both Diana Rossini and Ian Rappaport mentioned the Jets were getting trade calls on pass rusher Jermaine Johnson. Now, he has not played a lot over the last 2 seasons. Injuries have been a factor, but he kind of had that second-year breakout. 7.5 sacks in 2023 with 11 TFLs. His pressure rate hasn't been that drastically different in 25 and 24, despite being stuck on some bad football teams, especially this season. There is some team control here, too. Jets would save $2.49 million this year. Prorated figure, let's just call it $1.75 million. The Cowboys would also pick up his 5th-year option in 2026, which feels kind of cheaper at $13.4 million. This is the exact type of trade candidate that I would be calling about if I were the Cowboys. He's multiple years. He's not crazy expensive. He has the draft pedigree. He was really good back in 2023. I don't know if he's actually going to be available because he is under team control. The Jets still have him. They don't have to trade him if they don't want to. And if they wanted to, he might boost his stock as the year goes on and you can trade him in the offseason. But that's the type of name that I'd be calling about and seeing what the asking price is. Now, if the Cowboys make a trade, we got you covered. There will be a video on it. Hit that sub button so you don't miss out. YouTube.com/@CowboysTV for more free Cowboys YouTube videos. Let's go to Jeffery Simmons. And I keep seeing him linked and pined after. And in general, I think he made some sense as a trade candidate for the NFL. Other NFL teams did call Tennessee about Simmons after the Brian Callahan firing. Rappaport and Rusina both reported they were told no. Simmons is under contract, did get banged up in Week 7 as of filming. I'm not yet seeing the injury details there. I'm sure we'll get that in the not-too-distant future. I think Jeffery Simmons is an awesome football player. I don't actually understand the desire to add another high-priced defensive tackle. You add Jeffery Simmons, you'd be paying around $20 million per year, give or take in terms of cash, for Simmons and Clark and Osa Odigizua apiece. I can't pay 3 defensive tackles that much money and have one of them ride the bench. That doesn't, I can't play them all together. I would rather spend, at that point, I got to spend, because he's going to be expensive, I need to spend my assets in a different direction. So great player, it doesn't make sense right now for the Cowboys. Time to get in on today's show with our mailbag. Use hashtag Cowboys or skip the line all together via Super Chat. Saw some Super Chats come in. We'll get to What Does It Matter, Bruh? And Marcus Arnold twice. And Jeremy Sanchez and other questions on today's show. Use hashtag Cowboys, skip the line all together via Super Chat. Reminder of the Super Chat menu after I sip some water to stay hydrated. Any supers a shout out. $5 you're into our raffle. $10 gets you 3 raffle entries. $50 is a shotty. And $100 is the beer bong. That is the Super Chat menu. Guarantees that you get in on today's mailbag. There are some super thanks we'll be getting to as well as part of today's mailbag. So once producer Aiden gives me the all clear. Thought it was this one. Yeah, that's it. We're all there. We're all there. So we're good. Yeah, donuts came in 5 minutes before we went live or something like that. So we're all set there. I'll get that in. But let's dive into today's mailbag. A $5 super thanks to begin today's show from Donuts. What do you think about Diggs and a second for Hendrickson? Both players get fresh start and fill a need. So I think the draft pick is about right for Hendrickson. I do think the Bengals, would want more back in terms of overall trade package. But the Bengals and the Cowboys are in the exact same spots. They are in the we can make a push still mindset. So I don't think, and I'll change my mind maybe if they get blown out by the Jets or something weird, but I think their mindset is we're not going to sell. And I think in general, and we'll have a full video on this, by the way, I think we should probably stop offering up the trash that we don't want anymore and acting like it is value. I've been doing troll fantasy trades of offering the 2 worst players on my roster for one guy from somebody else, but I'm not giving up any value. You have to. That's not. I don't think the Bengals actually would want Trevon Diggs. More money for a cornerback who, like, hasn't played great. They already have that in Cam Taylor-Britt, who's cheap, but whatever. Now, if you want into our weekly raffles here, $5 super chat or super thanks will get you entered into it. So send them in, $5 super chat or Venmo. Samuel says, what an amazing game to be at. My dad and I had an amazing time. Go Cowboys. Samuel was at the Cowboys-Commanders game. I am glad things went your way, Samuel. I think that would have been frustrating and annoying had it not gone your way, but cheers to you. Marcus Arnold, this came in before the game. Remember when I told you the run defense was a mirage? If the guards aren't worried about your linebackers, the DTs will get washed away. Gotta get new linebackers. I thought better play overall in Week 7 from your linebacking core. Kenneth Murray made the comment. He did a lot of team-focused film study together. I still have doubts, how good are they really going to be long term? But especially Murray. But I thought progress this past year. From picking you off, feels like our defense died that Seattle versus Dallas Thursday Night Football game back in 2023. I went back and did the numbers, including that game. The Cowboys defense over that 17 plus 14 game sample size is allowing 27.5 points per game. That is, if you count the playoff game for the Cowboys, which I did, that's the worst in the NFL. If you don't count the playoff game for the Cowboys, it's the second worst in the NFL. It's been bad. Are you buying overall, folks, that this Cowboys defense is fixed? Y for yes, N for no. Let me know in the comments section, the pinned comments of today's show. What does it matter, brah, is in to our raffle. Thank you, my friend. Sounding the alarm now. Jerry already floated the idea we have enough to compete. He will stand pat again and will come up short. And because of it, Dak will get blamed again, rinse and repeat. I do think even if you make a trade, you're probably not going to be good enough on defense to go win the whole damn thing. That's probably not where you're at overall. So from that mindset, yeah, I'm inclined to agree. But can you do it in a way to help you out short-term, long-term, make a better playoff push? Yeah. Marcus Arnold, a 5th and Sam Williams for Chubb. I don't know what Bradley Chubb's trade value truly is. If I could get him for a 5th, even if he was just a rental, I do that so fast. I don't really get that trade very much for the Dolphins side of things because he's cheap this year and he's got no guaranteed money outside of injury stuff. If I could do that, yes, I have doubts that he would go for that little. Who knows? And he says a Ford for Crosby, so I think he means a 4th for Crosby. Not even close on the trade value. It is a first plus for Max Crosby, and the Raiders don't want to trade him, and they just paid him this offseason. The way it actually sets up is it is doable because it's all in future guaranteed base salaries, but I would be pretty stunned if the Raiders traded away Max Crosby right now. We could maybe revisit in the offseason, but I don't see a Max Crosby trade happening right now. Today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this football season on Prize Picks, where it is good to be right. You can now follow other Prize Picks players directly on the app and copy their lineup in one click. Whether it's a friend, a celebrity partner, or someone whose picks you like, hit the follow button and check out every lineup they create in the new feed tab on Prize Picks. One of the Week 8 Prize Picks lineups, Saquon touchdown against the Giants. Revenge game TD for Saquon. Aaron Rodgers more than passing yards in a Rodgers revenge game. And Jordan Love more than pass attempts after we watched Joe Flacco light up the Steelers. Prize Picks also offers stacks. You can pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. That's maybe more than on Josh Allen, passing yards, rush yards, and TDs. You can do it all on Prize Picks. Download the app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Links in the comments and the description of today's show. Marcus, why is Schoonmaker here? Trade him to the Chargers for a 7th-round pick and a pack of spearmint gum. We're doing a video on Cowboys trade candidates. I didn't even bother putting Luke Schoonmaker in there. I don't play Brevin Spann Ford over him. Like, let's be for real. Like, he's not good. He doesn't do anything in the passing game. He's supposed to be a run-blocking tight end, and Spanford is better at that. Give me him instead. Jeremy Sanchez, how enticing would it be for teams interested in our next year first-round pick instead of this year and package it with Trevon or Jaelen Tolbert? Can we go to the meme, the one meme I got? Because I think this is not quite like the full extreme version of it, but like it's. I tweeted this out. I get a very good defensive player, and you get a player I no longer want. The difference is this actually is a very good draft pick. The issue is like packaging with Trevon Diggs and Jaelen Tolbert doesn't do anything for the Las Vegas Raiders. Like that's just paying more money for a guy we don't want anymore. So like it's not a crappy draft pick, but like that I don't think the Raiders have interest there. Like they can get a straight up first this year if they wanted to move him. I don't think the Raiders want to move him. If they were going to move him, I would have a lot of interest there because I think he's an awesome player. He's everything I love in a pass rusher and run down defensive end. That would be a dream target. I don't think he's available right now. Dez caught it. Reek Woolen trade. We'll see what happens on Monday night. Wouldn't be surprised if he's a scratch again. Kind of feels like they're just going to trade him at some point, and that relationship is done. You're viewing him as a rental, though. He fits the Cowboys mold, but he's due a new contract if you were to trade for him or let him hit free agency. And if you could get him cheap for a day 3 pick, I'm always down. But I wonder if a team that might have bigger long-term intentions has more interest. Name a player who you want to trade for. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. William Cook, $10 again. That's 3 more entries. Once Overshown is here, who is benched in the base defense? Think he becomes more of a pass rusher. I'm not opposed to trying it, actually. I think he can do it. I don't know if he can be your Micah replacement, like actually be a full-time pass rusher. That might be asking for a bit too much. But I will also, I don't really care who you bench. Like, my answer should be Kenneth Murray. Like, that's who you should bench. You should just ride with Shamar James and DeMarvion Overshown as your off-ball linebackers even when you're outside of the base defense, and you're in that nickel package. Like that's what I would ride. Something tells me that they'll sit Shamar James instead. From Joy to the Dak side, what linebackers are available in a trade? It's a good question. I don't know if Demario Davis wants out of New Orleans, if Jordan Brooks is worth it. I think Logan Wilson actually might be available from the Bengals. He's kind of been benched. Are those guys better than what you have? It's actually very possible. Could you bring him in on a cheap rental contract? Maybe. From The Mandalorian, how about Danielle Hunter? Yeah, I wouldn't get you upset there either. Again, we're filming this before the Texans game on Monday Night Football, but worst case, they're going to be 2-4. I doubt they're going to be giving up on their contender dreams. They just paid Hunter again in the offseason. They have a young QB. I don't think that's a guy that, like, within reason is like, you can trade a first-round pick for him and go get him, but that doesn't make sense for you. How many trades did the Dallas Cowboys end up making before this year's NFL trade deadline? Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Aubrey, did you feel in yesterday's game that Shoddy was conservative towards the end? Also, I felt our offensive line is still weak in some areas, such as the tackles. Yes and no. You're not really allowing that many pressures. They did mostly come from Guyton and from Steele, but we're talking like less than 1 every 10 plays they're getting beat. Like it's not been a huge issue with the way your quarterback is currently playing. I think you get beat back, everything looks a little bit better there. So I'm not that worried about the offensive line. I think that they're young and they're getting better. That's promising. I thought they continued to grade out oddly low in run blocking, which doesn't make sense with the way they've run the ball. I find the grades are weird on PFF. They did get conservative. That's fine. You're up by 20 points in the fourth quarter. I'm not gonna. You can be conservative in the fourth quarter. Frankly, you should have been more conservative and pulled back in the game because that game was over. Marcus Arnold. Seriously, I would trade a first for a really good right tackle. The safety was Steele's fault. I'll go back and watch. But it sure looked like to me that was Luke Schoonmaker getting cooked by Deron Payne. I'll go back and watch because I haven't watched the offense yet. I tend to watch the defense first on the All-22s on Monday because Well, the offense is doing good stuff. I don't have to freak out about it so much. I don't know what good right tackle is available for you. That's the issue. I don't know if there's even one remotely on the market. For more Cowboys YouTube videos, hit that sub button. We are live on Mondays and Thursdays, plus game days as well. So tune in and don't miss any of the Cowboys Report, youtube.com/Cowboys TV. Daniel M. I would go get Jermaine Johnson from the Jets, but I also see the Jets want to unload Quentin Williams. Dallas did have interest, but again, why do I have three $20+ million a year defensive tackles on my roster? I'm dumping somebody after this year, and I'm not going to get good value back on that guy, so I'm giving up extra assets for a minimal upgrade. Again, that doesn't really, you had interest in Quinnen as part of what you got Kenny Clark back for. That's where that interest came from. I don't think it makes sense right now. If you cut Kenny Clark in the offseason, I guess you can revisit, but again, why'd you do that in the first place when Kenny's actually playing pretty well for you? I would call about Jermaine Johnson as well. I don't know what the asking price is, but they're bad, so you can call. From Jiraiya, I could use both first-round draft picks, move back in the draft, and pick up 2 first-round picks at the same time. He's kind of doing some Jerry circular logic a little bit there, but I do think trading down with one of those first-round picks, if and when we get there, does make sense. I think extra ammunition to trade down in the draft, I like doing that. It gives you more shots in terms of the available options. From Barty, who is the biggest domino waiting to fall before the deadline? I think there are several teams that are in the market for edge help. I just don't know who it actually is going to make the first deal. I don't think Hendrickson's going to be there. Do the Dolphins make a trade and move on from one of their edges? That might be your first one. There's no, it's not like the NBA where, everyone's waiting on so-and-so to sign. So I don't know if there's a massive domino left to fall or, this offseason where we're all waiting for the first quarterback to go sign somewhere. Ended up being Russ. Worked out pretty funnily. I just think they're semi-connected at the same spot, but, might get some movement Monday, Tuesday, and I bet the week of the trade deadline going into it, we'll get some more action. Super Chat menu on today's show. By the way, news, Savone Revel is having his 21-day practice window opened on Wednesday as well. So good news there for the Cowboys and for Revel as he is going to get back in the not-too-distant future. So that's promising. Let me sip my water. Sorry for my sniffles, too. There we go. Super Chat menu. Any Super Chat is a shout-out. $5 is a raffle entry. $10 is 3 raffle entries. $50 for a shot, and $100 is the beer bong. I'm going to have to blow my nose, guys. I'm so sorry. I'll move my mic. So I'm not sniffling for you guys in the headset the entire time. Who you got on the PM Monday Night Football matchup? T for the Texans, S for the Seahawks. Who you got? T or S? I'm going to go Seahawks too. The Texans have, against this defense, I feel like it's just going to be a huge problem for Houston. I don't know. It might be a bit of a snooze, but Darnold's played really well this year. We'll see how it goes. So T or S? Someone got the Fighting Darnolds in there. That's how it goes. Yeah, Marcus says Steele to Chip Payne, but I don't think that's his assignment, though. It might have just been the Commanders out-schemed you, frankly. But I don't know if that was actually his assignment to down block. I don't know if that was actually the call up front. I'll go back and watch it, though. But either way, it's you can't take a safety there. That's bad. That's bad. So, who you got? T or S in the comment section of today's show. And we'll get into the final segment of today's show after we'll get to Drew DTX's super chat here. $20. Love it, Drew DTX. Give you a bunch of entries then. Give you 10 entries. Boom, into the raffle this upcoming weekend. Drew DTX, $20 super chat says, howdy, Tom. I'll eat my words about Blue. You were right. Who would have guessed? I was impressed with the few carries he had. Finally got some explosiveness. Also, Roy or T. Williams for the throwback to put on this team now. Oh. So I assume this is Roy Williams or Terrence Williams, which isn't fun. Roy Williams was a fun player. I guess the both Roy Williamses were. The safety was a fun player. The safety was a fun player. Not Terrence Williams. The issue with Roy Williams is he'd be a linebacker in today's NFL. Like he was one of the early, like, he's a safety, but he's actually just a linebacker deep down. Like he was one of the early guys there. And then they changed the rule about horse collar tackles, and he kind of got broke a little bit. So I would go with Roy Williams as and I'd play him at linebacker. I'd bulk him up a little bit, and I'd put him at linebacker. I had his jersey somewhere. I don't know where it went. I lost it when I was a kid. I think it was like a jersey. I was in Gatlinburg with family friends, and they were $20, so we bought them. Don't know why. It was fun. But yeah, I do think Jaden Blue was better. Kind of sucks. His best run got called back. But a little bit more impactful there out of Jaden Blue. 7 carries, 29 yards. Almost had the explosive run. Hasn't had the I blew myself moment yet, but we're going to get there. It'll happen at some point this year. It'll happen. 2 board K, board K, IL, whatever it is. Savone Revel, 21-day practice window is open. You are right. He is. Or it is, I should say. They'll open it up on Wednesday officially. Officially on Wednesday for Savone Revel. They'll take the entire 21 days, I think, there. But I'm thinking Revel and Overshown are going to be back on that front. I wonder if he meant Terrence Newman. Terrence Newman, prime Terrence Newman, I would love him back. If that's because what Mr. Star Wars also asked about that one. If that's what we meant, I'd give me Terrence Newman. He was fun, and I give him credit because there has been a lot of times at corner, like once you lose it, it's gone. Like you lose that step of athletic ability and you never have it again. Terrence Newman got it back. Newman, I thought when the Cowboys come, like, he's done. He is so cooked. He doesn't have it anymore. He was an old player coming out, and then he had like another whole career in Minnesota. And the Bengals, I think, too. He was a fun player, man. That was the old guy you took early and worked out. He could play inside, outside. That was a fun player, man. There are some fun throwback Cowboys players on maybe defenses that weren't so good. Although some of those Parcells windows they had some really good defensive players. We tend to ignore how good some of those defenses were. Welcome back into the Cowboys Report. I am Tom Downey. I posted this on social media the other day, this meme of I get a very good defensive player, and you get a player I no longer want and a crappy draft pick. I sent that out because it was a little silly to see all of these like, well, what if we gave a 5th and Sam Williams for Max Crosby? Like, okay, we have to be realistic in our trades. So with that in mind, I will back it up and not just be flippant and an a-hole. And instead, we'll go over what the actual trade values are for some of the often mentioned Cowboys trade candidates. Now, if you want the Cowboys to do something good in parentheses at the 2025 NFL trade deadline, show it by liking the video, please and thank you right now. Like the video if you want the Cowboys to do something before the NFL trade deadline. Couple different trade candidates we'll get to. First up is Trevon Diggs. These are all the guys that I see in the comments and in the live chats and on Twitter of like, trade this guy. I get the general frustration over Trevon Diggs and whatever happened with the concussion that he suffered. But you also might benefit from him coming back and actually playing man coverage. Like, look, the messenger may have been the wrong guy, but the message was right. The Cowboys should be doing more man coverage. In 6 games played this year, 11 catches, 16 targets, and all these in zone. It's also been really weird for Trevon Diggs. Like, there have been 2 whole games where, like, they haven't thrown at him. Like, they have just completely ignored his side of the field, which I thought was really interesting. The biggest issue with, like, trading Diggs, beyond the fact, like, he actually might be better than what you have with Bridges and stuff, I don't think there's a lot of value here. The new team would owe the pro-rated figure of the $9.15 million he is owed. It's a little bit more than that once you start to count the eligible roster bonuses. He didn't get paid the roster bonuses past week, I don't believe. For the Cowboys, does the team want to take on $5-ish million and the bad play and the injury history? Like, if the Cowboys could have traded Trevon Diggs in the offseason, I think they would have done that. I don't think there was a lot of interest in Trevon Diggs in the offseason. I think that is still the case. I think the realistic trade value is maybe a day 3 pick swap. There's a decline in play. There's injuries. There's the contract. I don't think there's a lot of high-level value. Now, you might be able to get him involved somehow, but you can't make him the focal point of a trade to go get a really good pass rusher. I don't think teams are going to have interest there. So what would you do with Trevon Diggs? T for trade, K for keep, C for cut, and that's probably in the offseason, which I think is where we're heading in this upcoming offseason. But sound off. This is freedom of speech time. T, K, or C. Jalen Tolbert is next up. I'm emphasizing I am kidding when I do the trade Jalen Tolbert for a first-round pick. I'm kidding about that. I know he's not going to fetch you that. I know that's not realistic for the Cowboys and Jalen Tolbert. That's not realistically what he's going to fetch you. He does do some good things. He's also, in a way, just kind of fallen down the pecking order a little bit. His numbers, are probably still going to finish better than it did in 2023. He was kind of impactful in 2024 because of all the other players going down, but he's been usurped by guys like George Pickens and, hell, even Ryan Flanoy. And this feels like his final year in Dallas. It is worth mentioning, you're going to have other guys come back from injury. You have a lot of wide receivers. If you could trade someone and free up a roster spot that way, it does kind of start to make some sense. Money's an issue here. Owed the prorated figure of $3.4 million, so, it's not quite half. It's a little bit more than half right now, but, $1.7, $1.8 million. I think his ability to play inside, outside, often make the clutch catch for you in key moments, Pittsburgh game last year, Packers game this year, special team stuff, does mean Tolbert offers some positives. But we're talking about a guy that is at best an okay wide receiver 3 and is probably better served right this second as like a wide receiver 4 or 5. A lot of NFL teams have that guy. You're probably looking at more of a late day 3 pick in a trade. Today's show is made possible by the Tushy Bidet. I called myself an a-hole earlier. That's only a dirty word if you wipe. You can call ref a skid mark instead, which I often do on our live shows. Tushy is the everyday luxury bidet that instantly transforms your bathroom habits and bottom health for life. 99% of people who wash with the Tushy Wave feel cleaner and fresher after going to the bathroom. Every Tushy bidet easily attaches to your existing toilet without the need for additional plumbing. Installation is simple, takes about 10 minutes to complete. People who have made the switch use up to 80% less TP. There's no more clogged toilets. There's also no more having to use the itchy, scratchy, irritating toilet paper. Instead, it's soothing water. And there's no damaging wet wipes you have to worry about either. Every Hello Tushy Bidet comes with a 30-day hassle-free return and a 12-month warranty. Remember, a-hole is only a dirty word if you wipe. For a limited time, you guys get 10% off your first order when you use code CHAT at checkout. That's 10% off your first bidet order at hellotushy.com/chat with promo code CHAT. Links in the comments section and the description of today's show. Next up is Sam Williams. It was very funny. Someone had said, did he even play? He did. He played your second most snaps against the Commanders, and it didn't feel like it. If you go get another edge rusher, you have to do something up front. You can't carry 7 edges on this roster. Somebody has to be able to move on and get out of this organization or get hurt, knock on wood. Like, I can't play Dante Fowler and Nealon and Ezaraku and Houston and Williams and Clowney and expect to have, like, another guy come into the fold. And frankly, I would argue Sam Williams should be the odd man out. Now, maybe with the Commanders losing Dorrance Armstrong, they can come calling about one of Dan Quinn's boys. Probably a bad sign that he made no impact against Dan Quinn's team, though. Look, the weird, conversation of, he should get an extension never made sense to me. I'm like, he didn't play at all last year. He hasn't been a good run defender this year. And he's got more penalties than sacks in his career. It's not a good combination. Now, he's cheap. He is cheap. $1.55 million base salary is barely more than the vet minimum. Sam Williams plays a lot of snaps, but I think you're looking at late day 3 pick value here. I think that is more of like an add-on in a potential trade as opposed to like you're getting him as a valuable asset that you're including. Because of all the players come back from injury, you might look to flip somebody and try to create a roster spot. Will the Cowboys trade away a player? 1 for yes, 0 for no. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Everyone's favorite whipping boy, or I guess least favorite whipping boy, Mazy Smith, which actually sounds, there's a negative connotation there, and I do apologize for that. But nobody seems to like Mazy Smith online in social media. And I get it. This is a first-round pick who right now just looks like a jag. He just looks like a guy who isn't making a high-level impact. The numbers the past 2 years, the run defense grade hasn't been very good. The pressure rate hasn't been very impactful. He's got 2 tackles this year. He's not showing up, although the pressure rate and the run defense grade are career highs. Not like they're very good. He's been rotating in and out with Jadeveony of the active lineup. This does not look like a first-round pick. This looks like a 7th-round pick who's getting 20 snaps a game. And that's a massive disappointment for what you invested in him, and it leads to trade value issues. $1.96 million isn't that bad this year, prorated figure. He is owed $2.56 million fully guaranteed next year. I wouldn't be shocked if the Cowboys move on from Mazy Smith or if it happens next year. The contract and the future guaranteed money does complicate things. But again, maybe you can get a day 3 pick because of the first-round pedigree. But I think that's all you're going to get back for him. Now, for more Cowboys trade rumors and news, if and when it happens, we have you covered. Hit that sub button so you don't miss out. YouTube.com/CowboysTV. Deone Clark is next up here. This is a name we have mentioned as a cut or trade candidate for a long time. It's kind of funny how 3 different regimes have landed on the same answer. Maybe he's not our best linebacker. Last year, the Cowboys opened the year with Deone Clark as a starter over DeMarvion Overshown. And we were all like, that's a bad idea. This year, the Cowboys opened the year with Deone Clark as a starter over Maurice Leafau and Shamar James. And we're all like, that's a bad idea. And we were all right. 12 tackles in 6 games this year. He's the linebacker 5 right now. He is owed the prorated figure of a $3.48 million base salary. That's a lot of money, actually, for a guy that's not doing anything. Deone Clark has been benched again. He is expensive relative to his impact. I think there's actually 0 trade value here. You might be able to argue that for other players too. I don't think there's any actual trade value from NFL teams of like, yeah, here's a 7th for Deone Clark. It'd be a finesse if you're able to get something back. So name a player who you want to trade. I did not include Luke Schoonmaker. I probably could have, but I don't really think that there's any value there. So name a player who you want to trade. We might see some Terrence Steele comments. And I think you could and should be able to get value for Terrence Steele. But if you're a buyer, why are you trading away your best run blocker? I know he's not perfect. I know you might cut him next year. Your offense is working. I kind of don't want to take away one of your starters up front and jeopardize it not working more. Or, God forbid, somebody else goes down and then you've traded away 2 starters. You're down 2 starters full season. Like, I don't think the timing makes sense. Had you lost against the Commanders and you lost against Denver back-to-back weeks and bottomed out, you could have shopped him. But now I'm actually inclined to keep him. There's a clear and obvious trend, though, with these names we mentioned. Guys, teams are not going to take your cast-offs and give you assets back. You might get a dump back, a trade dump back, but there's a reason Tennessee had to cut Treylon Burks. Like, I don't think that there's a lot of interest, and there shouldn't be a lot of interest, in these lower-level players. Maybe a day 3 pick, but if you want the good players in the trade market, you're probably going to have to offer something a little bit better. Should Dak Prescott be an NFL MVP favorite? Y for yes, N for no. Y for yes, N for no. 92% are voting yes right now. Y for yes, N for no. Get those votes in for me in the comment section of today's show. iBoard K, that's what I'm going to go with there. I know it's not because there's an extra I or L in there. Says, how do you feel about Mingo coming back? Okay. Would be nice to get something back for him. Like, for what you invested in him, you do kind of want to have, like, something going on. I'm honestly most curious of, like, who do they move from the active roster to make room for him? Like, who do they go on? You know, who do they dump? Who gets put on IR with injury? I would move a offensive lineman. You got Trevor Keegan and Johnny Flynn for scratches each week, and they're both a bit banged up. Wouldn't be shocked if it was one of those guys. But I do think Mingo is. Hopefully, he does something. You know, I still think he had a bit of a setback because he went from like full to DMP two straight days. He's back to full again, but I did find that interesting. Big Stu, a $2 super chat. Who is on your Mount Rushmore of Cowboys legends? My inducted members. Let me think here. I think the initial one is Alex Tanney. Because Alex Tanney, it's a deep cut, was the first one I claimed as a Cowboys legend. Because he was bouncing around the league. He was in there. Beyond that, I think it's like, it should be guys who like bounced around the league a little bit. Quincy Carter might be one, frankly. Maybe like a Kevin Ogletree is a good one. We did the full list of all the inductions. Ben DiNucci might have made that list as of late. DiNucci has been a super fun one. I think Sam Hurd should be an honorable mention since he, is the criminal version of it. Jimmy Smith is a good one. Tristan Hill, maybe. Adam Pac-Man Jones or Clinton Dix because he made it and then got cut for a season. Like, I think there's a lot of good ones out there. We'll be live on Thursday, so make sure you guys are subscribed. Don't miss out. Hit that sub button. YouTube.com/CowboysTV.